I'm Alan Ning. I was Zorianna Kit, and today we review Small Engine Repair. This is a very interesting one. I think midway through the movie, it felt like an adult version of The Breakfast Club. I didn't realize that if these adults are my age, then they would have been adolescents when The Breakfast Club came out. This is a really weird movie. What did you think of Small Engine Repair?
Oh gosh, I have to say I loved this movie because to me it was so unpredictable. First of all, it's based on a play, and it does have that feeling a little bit. Afterwards, I didn't know it was a play until afterwards, and I was like, oh, no wonder it does have that a little bit of a staginess to it. And the director who plays one of the lead characters is the one who wrote the play originally, and Jon Bernthal, who's in it, was also one of the original cast members of the play. So the roots are firmly here. I thought this was it's very sort of Neil LaBute-ish in that it explores all these levels of like toxic masculinity and brohood and the importance of friendship and fatherhood and the impulsive decisions we make to protect our children. But then it has this whole digital age thing of cyberbullying and social media in it. And so all of that created this very, very interesting story that I had no idea where things were going.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned it was a play, because the issues I had with it make a lot of sense knowing it was a play. And yeah. I think in that I'm finding I didn't feel like it translated well into this feature film.
Really?
I think, I mean, to me, the joy of the movie are the performances, but to me, I had real issues with the outline and the narrative as it played out. And I will say it's the third act that really bothered
that we can't talk about. The third act,
I can't talk about it.
Yeah, is your big plot twist, and it makes for reviewing this film a little bit frustrating because it's the most exciting and important and out of left field part.
Yeah, I mean, I was bought into this movie in those first two acts. It's when that third act came along, and it literally comes out of left field. This reveal that happens has nothing to do with the events that occurred in the first two acts.
Well,
and I mean, it's not like these things happen and therefore this third act. It is, here's the third act. Here's what happened, and it goes crazy from there.
You make a point that's a valid point. I'm not going to disagree with you on that. Like, yes, the first two acts didn't lead to the third act. It's like these are the first two acts, and well, you know what? This issue is going to be addressed in the third act right now. But see, to me, that was all part of the joy of watching this movie because the movie really takes its time in introducing us to these characters and their relationship and their dynamic. So basically, the plot line is three lifelong friends. One of them spent some time in jail. They've been bros together forever. He's a single dad. He has a little kid, and they all kind of helped raise her. And so it's like she has a dad and two uncles. They're really close. There's kind of
like Full House, basically.
What's that?
Like Full House, basically.
Yeah. Not. And then something happens that really tests their friendship on a moral, legal, all sorts of levels.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah, so this is how I felt watching it. The first two acts cruises at a nice 60, 70 miles an hour. And you get to know these guys. You get to understand their backgrounds. One of them is a really good-hearted guy, but he has an incredibly hot temper that gets him into trouble. The other is the kind of, the Uncle Joey of the group. But they all had these really hard backgrounds, which gives them their toxic masculine traits. But the thing is, once you get into that third act, the movie goes from a 70 to about 150. and at that point it was so jarring that it felt like it was a separate movie. And I get that the way that third act plays out has to do a lot with what was built up in those characters in the first two acts. It just really comes out of nowhere. It feels like such a different movie, and honestly, I think it does play better on stage than it did in this movie.
Yeah, sorry, Alan, I 100% disagree with you on that. I did not find that jarring. I found that after establishing this group, who they are, what they stand for, what their dynamic is, they introduced such a moral and legal dilemma. And it's like, okay, now we're going to see what you're all made of. Now we're going to see how you handle something that happens. Because we all go through life and we have our friendships and those dynamics, and we think we're solid and we think we're loyal and we think we're together because we've been together since childhood. And then, a major life occurrence happens for someone. Maybe there's a death in your friend's family, or maybe there's someone is afflicted with a disease, or anything like that happens. And then you realize that maybe the friendship wasn't as strong, or maybe it's stronger than ever. These are, things happen in life that test that. And I feel that this was the test. And that's why it didn't feel jarring. It was something that interrupted their mundane lives and upended everything.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree with the intent there. And it does play out that way. To me, though, the tone I got from that third act is this is a thriller, and a lot of this character examination, just really, it kind of needed to slow down in order for it to play out better. And that's why I say it felt like it would have played much better on stage when it, I think there's something about being on stage that kind of pulls you out of the realism of the situation, as opposed to a film where it is a real situation. And so I think the tone kind of needs to be adjusted at that point.
Well, clearly, I am really into this movie, so I'm now defending it.
Yes.
Whatever it is you're
Defend
saying.
away.
But I went ahead and looked up some of the reviews of the play, because I wanted to see what it was all about. And so apparently the play begins with this third act. That is the entire play. So the movie version was apparently expanded to set the tone of this friendship, because all of the acts.
So the play is the third act.
Yes, exactly. So, but Act 1 and 2 are exposition in the play.
Yeah,
all of that stuff is explained and alluded to and talked about, but in the movie it is now seen.
Yeah.
So picture then the third act being just the movie, if that's how it was going to go down.
Yeah. So clearly it worked out a lot better for you than it did for me. I will say, though, I was very bothered by the ending, by the final resolution, which we can't say anything about. It's weird because when I'm watching it, I'll just say the word, it felt homophobic. And then they say, well, it's not homophobic because it's meant to be. And I'm like, well, just because you say it isn't, it really bothered me. But
it was homophobic. I mean, they make it very clear that, there's a group of people in a law firm who are homophobic. It's alluded to, it's said. And I think that was kind of addressed. Whether the characters want to deny that or not, that's
I think that's the issue for me. That was the issue for me. And then the way it ultimately wraps up just felt like, okay, well, we're done.
It wrapped up in the best possible scenario, because you're just like, how are they going to get out of this in a way where, like, the characters that we have fallen in love with are, that we want everyone to be okay at the end of this. All of them, even the ones we don't like. And this kind of resolved it in a way that was very clever and was like, it's the way, it was like the right way.
I mean, I'll say this. I had an issue with it. And a lot of it is something I can't say because it is spoilery. I don't know. I kind of felt like with what happened to lead up to this, it just kind of left it still up in the air and kind of, I mean, I totally get what you're saying. It's just, I definitely had issues with that ending. Okay.
Yes, Alan, clearly you had issues with it.
Yes.
You and I defer on this so much. You didn't feel like part 3 matched with like Act 1 and 2.
Yeah, I loved Act 1 and 2. I like where it was going.
And I think that is I think the jarriness of that shift is just made it, whatever you were enjoying, it just plummeted for you. I think you gave this movie a 6.
I did give it a 6. I think its real saving grace is the first 2 acts and the performances. I mean, Jon Bernthal, he is for the guy who's taken the roles that he has such great range and such sensitivity when it comes to acting, and it certainly comes off here.
But what about Shea Whigham? I mean, we recently reviewed him in The Gateway, where he played like a gun-toting social worker, bad guy with a heart.
He's very opposite of that.
Yes, exactly. Here he's sort of like the dumb kid of the group, the goofball, not the. So I'm to me I'm very interested in Shea Whigham as an actor these days because he's so diverse to me.
Okay, so you bought into the plot. You liked it from beginning to end, and you, like me, like the performances. So I'm going to guess you gave it an 8. I gave it an 8.5. I mean, the thing is I want to give it a 9 so badly. And you know what? Actually, damn it. If I want to give it a 9 so badly, I'm going to give it a 9. Yeah, damn it, give it a 9. It's a 9. It's a 9. I thought it was original. I thought the acting was superb. And I had no idea where it was going. And that's part of the fun of watching a movie. It was unpredictable. You could not see things coming. It is worthy of a 9 for me. It's such a high recommend for me. And by the way, I love the fact that there's a pit bull in the movie. A pit bull that is just acting, that is not being stereotyped as a pit bull, just a dog. Just a dog. So absolutely. All right. So clearly we did not like the ending. So that means you need to go out and see this movie and let us know what you thought. Comment below. We want to know what you think. Who do you agree with? Like, subscribe, and all that junk. And with that, let's get out of here.